Well, howdy, 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 nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys and girls, and welcome to this. Hey, it's actually my 5th video of the day. I'm actually doing a Q&A. I don't know if this is going to be number 1 or number 5 actually going up, but it's my 5th video of the day I'm actually doing. I'm doing some Q&A. Yay! Because I slept yesterday so bad. Didn't like doing it, but it happened. So, let us start with, let's see, Silver Reploid CLA, one of my I've forgotten the word, but we started channels roughly at the same time, so what is the word, contemporary? Yeah, contemporaries, one of my semi-contemporaries, and that we started roughly the same time. Silver Reploid CLE asks, what were my favorite genres of music to listen to back in the year? Back when I was a kid, when I was going to like middle school and high school, and I had a record player, and I lived in, I had my bedroom. I was up on the 2nd floor of the house. There were only two rooms in the upstairs of the house. My grandfather built the house. It was my room and my sister's room. And I listened to my music really loudly, and I liked stuff like Led Zeppelin. I listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin when I was a kid because Led Zeppelin was still a group when I was a teenager. They came out with the album Into the Outdoor when I was a teenager in high school. And just like Pink Floyd was still a group when I was a kid, they came out with the album The Wall when I was in high school. David Bowie was of course David Bowie was doing stuff. He's done stuff since forever, but I've been collecting David Bowie albums since I was in middle school. One of the earliest ones I can remember that I bought, that one was Lodger, the album. Generally, my favorite genre was back then just rock. I started branching out later as I got older, when I started to listen to things like the B-52s and Devo. And then I also, of course, listened to the Sex Pistols, stuff like that, with their song Friggin' in the Riggin'. But I really liked their album, Nevermind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols. So that was my favorite genre of music, was what would be like just general rock. That's really all that was played on the radio back then. They didn't really split a whole bunch of stuff up. So there was top 40 and stuff that was trying to be top 40, and that was it. Let's see. Jimmy M asks, what was my rank and or job in the Air Force? Actually, I made it up to E4, but back when I was going through, you started off as an E0 while you were in basic training, and then you graduated to E1 when you came out as an airman basic, and then you became an airman. Airman first class, senior airman. There we are. And then senior airman had to split it at the time because there were so many people in. Then ARG! Airman basic, airman first class, senior airman, and then the senior airman had to split when you went up a rank. They filled in your star, you stayed E4, but instead of senior airman, you were sergeant. So I made it up in rank to sergeant, E4. Some people had been in the Air Force 10, 15, 20 years and never made it past sergeant. I at least made it to sergeant. And I worked in finance, so I flew a desk. I was known as a travel technician, which is we would send people temporary duty to other bases, or send them even permanent change of station, like when we send them when you discharged from the Air Force. Whenever anyone traveled, they had to fill out a travel voucher, and then we would calculate how much money people were due for travel, and then send them off to the military pay side for disbursement of the funds. Before people would go on temporary duty, they could get an advance. We would work out, it's like, okay, we estimate you're going to spend this much money. We'll advance you 2/3 of that, and then once they came back, filled out the voucher, you work out what they were owed, subtract the advance, they got what's left. If they spent more than they were supposed to, then they owed. And how about that? So that was what I did in the Air Force. I flew a desk. Do I like 1950s and 60s music, such as rock and roll? Mostly I do like rock. 50s is okay because they're starting to actually become rock and roll. 1960s is when it starts to really punch in and become, with groups, like Pink Floyd and Velvet Underground and all those indie underground groups that were pushing the forefront of what music was. So I like 1960s music in that it paved the way for the kind of music that I really enjoyed later. It was a much more innocent time, even when they were using lots of drugs to do their songs, so nothing was innocent about it at all. It's just we like to say that. Have I ever played any Halo games? Actually, I've played I had an original Xbox, so I played Halo 1, and then later on I got a 360, so I have in fact played Halo 2, Halo 3. I think I played some of Halo 4, but I've never played any other Halo games. Those are the only ones I've ever done. So at least I played some of those. I've just never paid for Xbox Live. I don't want to pay to play online. That doesn't make any sense. So I don't. Can't afford it for one. And really, when you don't have to pay to play online if you have a PC, yeah, Sony jumped on the bandwagon, and part of it you have to pay to play, but you don't have to pay to play for everything. So yeah, I played them, just not a whole ton. I'm not really good at first-person Twitch games like that on console. I'm better at it with keyboard and mouse. Especially with my hand now the way it is. It hurts like hell. It's so painful just to use it. So it's not so hot doing it with a controller. Which locations have I been to around the world? Well, I spent time in 2 years in Germany. I've been around the United States to Florida, and I drove cross country to get from where I was in Florida stationed there back up to Washington State. Past that, it was just bus trips out of Germany around places. I've been to London, quite a few places. Used to go to the the Virgin mega stores to buy comics and games when we were in London. Oh, my throat's getting really sore again. I seared my throat with cannabis earlier. Past that, I have visited Amsterdam, been to France, Paris, got to look at the Eiffel Tower. I could have walked over to it, but it was shut down, so I just stayed at a distance and looked. I was there, hey, yay. So, past that, I just minor travels. Never really went too far. Have I ever played The Legend of Zelda, and so what's my favorite Zelda game? I've never had a Nintendo console, so I never got to play any of the early Zelda or any of the Nintendo games. The only playing of them is I've done through emulation on the PC. And they're not my favorite kind of games. Maybe the more recent ones would be more my cup of tea. I'm not actually sure. I've never played any of the more recent ones. The only Legend of Zelda games I've ever played have been the early Nintendo ones on emulation, like The Legend of Zelda 1 and stuff. And I don't like the graphics on those. Did I have a dog when I was younger? And if so, what did I name him or her? My parents had dogs. I never had a dog. I've always been a cat person. I've always liked cats. So when we've had dogs, they've been fun, but they've never been really what I've been into. And when we've had cats, we've just had cats. I mean, they were named like Puffy and Sunshine, such like that. So I remember there was one poodle we had that was called Penny. Past that, I can't remember any of the dogs we had. Which like I say, I don't dislike dogs. Dogs are great. It's just I'm not a dog person. Dogs are fine. I just, given a choice between a cat or a dog, I like cats. If I could give my viewers 3 pieces of advice, what would they be? Number 1, always be safe. Always be safe. That means if you have to use protective coloration and live a lie until you can be safe, then do that. Always be safe. Number 2, at the same time, always remember who you are and be yourself. Even if you have to hide that until who you are and who you can be, you can express. Just remember who you are, never let them kill it. But wait until you're safe before you can express yourself. And 3rd piece of advice is actually shoot for your dreams. Go for the gusto. Shoot for the stars so that when you can't hit the stars, you at least reach the moon. The stars you can't hit the stars. They're too far away. But if you shoot for the stars, you might make it to the moon. And that is a huge distance. So if you have a dream, go for it. I wish I had really worked on my dream of being a published writer back when I was younger, but I decided when I was younger it was much more important to drink and become an alcoholic. Before I was 25, my dream had been to be a published paid writer by age 25. During the time from 19 until 25, what changed? I went in the Air Force and drank. I'd already been drinking before that, but I became an adult and was able to drink legally. And boy, did I pour it down. If you got a fire in your belly, use that fire in your belly and go out and chase your dream. I almost killed my dream entirely by pouring alcohol down my gullet. What little fire I got left is just embers anymore. So go for your dream. Don't end up sad like me. So thumbs up. I'm going to call it on this one. This has been Q&A Saturday on Sunday. Tomorrow we will continue normal operations with K-Pop's Monday. So thumbs up. You take care. Have a great day. And I will see you all on the flip side. And that, my friend, is a very good thing.